Hello and welcome to the Mal and Johnny Show. On this week's episode, we'll be talking to Johnny Tudor about his early days in Welsh television. So Johnny, you got involved in Welsh television quite early on then, in the early days of TV. Where was it in those days? It wasn't in Llandaff in Cardiff. Where was it?
And it was in Broadway, in not Broadway, America, Broadway, Cardiff.
You actually made it to Broadway, but yeah, just down the road.
It was in a chapel, an old chapel they converted to make it into a studio. Because the radio studios now were up in Park Place in those days, so that the TV was in Broadway. The first thing I ever did, I was still very young, I think I did it with my father, was a program from BBC Broadway, and it went out on network. It was called The Big Band Show, and they had a huge orchestra, and I think it was 1961 or something. I was only about, I don't know, 18 was I? 17? I don't know. And that was the first thing I did, and I didn't do anything else until I went into a show called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum, and the ASM was a bloke called John Peacock. And John Peacock was a bit of a writer. Anyway, he came to stay with me and my parents, and we wrote a few songs together, and I recorded them in a little studio in Cardiff and forgot all about them. So then I got a phone call from my old dance teacher. She said, there was a BBC producer wants to meet you. She's heard some of your records, some of your recordings, and they're doing this show called Disco Down, which is a Welsh pop show. And so they wanted to see me because they'd heard these songs, see? So I went to meet Ruth. And she said, it's all in Welsh. Can you sing in Welsh? I said, well, I used to sing in Welsh in school. I can pronounce it. I said, but I don't know what I'm singing about. She said, don't worry about that. She said, if you can sing it well. So she translated these songs I'd written, and I got a gig on Disco Down. Anyhow, I ended up doing the whole series, like 26 of them. And they were all live on a Saturday. And I couldn't speak the language. And I'm worried to death. If I forget the words, boy, what am I going to do? I can't ad-lib it. See?
So no crib sheets and no big sort of cardboards with, all the words written out for you?
Yeah, you could have what they call the idiot boards, that's what they call them. And but I really didn't use them because I could remember the songs. I was young, I could learn stuff, couldn't I? Yeah. So that was my first bash. And then from there, Meredith Evans, who was the head of Light Entertainment, he put me together with Ryan Davis before he was Ryan and Ronnie. There was Ryan had written this thing called Bear Nessa, which means what's next. And there was Margaret Williams, lovely singer Margaret. There was Ruth Maddock, who was then called Ruth Llewellyn before she became Maddock. And there was me, and there was Bryn Williams and a troupe of dancers. And we did this review kind of show. I think we did about 12 of those. And then at the end of that, they decided they were going to put Ryan together with Ronnie, because Ronnie at the time was doing a chat show called Late Call. So they put them together and they wanted to do a pilot, and they called it Ryan, Ronnie, Jill and Johnny, right? And the Jill was Jill who used to sing with Triban. She was a lovely singer, Jill. And there was me. I was the Johnny, right? So we did the pilot, but they elbowed us and just went off and did their own thing.
So all that was in Welsh, was it? And
all in Welsh.
And you still didn't speak the language, like very native?
It wasn't until after that I learned Welsh. I didn't learn Welsh. I was 32. I decided, it was a bit stupid this. I've been singing in Welsh for years, and so I went and did the Old Pan course. I think, didn't you do the Old Pan course? I did the Old Pan course as well, yes. It's good, isn't it? I mean, it's a kind of total immersion, and being not very academic, it was good for me. You just learn like a parrot, and off you go. Mm. And the people who had read academia, they were looking into it and going, oh, and now where's the blue perfect here, and where's the... forget all that, just learn like a kid. Yeah. My back end is he a good boy, and you put the triglad in because that's how you learn it. Yeah. And I just flew it, and after 3 months I was fluent. And it was great fun, We used to go in on a Saturday morning and do this show. And I never forget, I was doing a routine with a bunch of dancers. And one of the girls didn't realize it was live. She went, oh, stop, I got wrong, let's do it again. And so keep going. I think I did another series then straight after that with Tammy Jones. Because Tammy just this is before she had the luck on Opportunity Knocks, funny enough, but I don't know if you remember, she did nearly every major TV show at the time. She was on the Tom Jones Show, Engelbert Humperdinck. She was on, what's the other one she did? The one with Dick Emery. She did loads of shows. And then we did this series called Tammy, it was called. So it was me, Tammy Jones, again, Margaret Williams and Bryn Williams. We did a series. And that was the last I did in Welsh, really. Then the next break, of course, was when I did Opportunity Knocks, but that was English.
Yeah. I've got a couple of clips, and I'm sure there are stories behind these. Now, then, the first...
Where have you found these now? You can embarrass me now.
No. We all have something in our closet. Right. But in your closet, somewhere there must be a pair of flares, which might be slightly down. I mean, you didn't get into the water, but it must have been a close run affair. Tell me about how you got the gig. You're singing sitting at the dock of the bay, and it's...
There was the singing trail, the singing train, and that was what was called the Singing Straits. And we filmed for a week on the Menai Straits. It was a lovely week. We had a fantastic time. They rented a yacht and everything. There was Gillian Humphreys was in it, the opera singer. There was me, Derek Boot, and Derek was a lovely bloke. And what a good singer he was. Mary Griffith. And we just sailed up and down the Straits and did all these lovely songs, you know.
Yeah, okay. You seem to have bypassed the story about sitting on the dock of the bay.
The dock of the bay. Well, we're filming in Port of Norwich that day, right? So the director, which is Howell Williams, said to me, "Bit of choreography here, John. Do a bit of dancing about." I said, "What do you mean? I can't just make it up." He said, "Go on." He said, "Just make it up." And then at one point, I jumped off the dock right onto a boat. How I did it, I don't know. Keep singing, you know. Sitting here, resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. 2,000 miles I roam.
But you know, something like that, it was a big audience as well, wasn't it? Because there weren't that many channels on. It was incredible.
That's right. That's right. And that one you're talking about, that went on BBC Two network. I think I did it in 1970, I think.
Right.
1970 or 71 I did that. Yeah, I remember.
Okay, now then, obviously, you were known as the entertainer.
Yeah.
But you did get into acting.
I did.
Then, I've got a couple of clips. One's called Beryl, Cheryl and Meryl. Now then, yn Gymraeg again, yn Gymraeg. So by this time you're a fluent speaker. But you speak quite a lot of English in this one. Tell us about the story.
Well, what it is, it was trilingual, this one, right? Oh. They wanted somebody to play a Spaniard, right? and I was Fernando González. See? So I can speak Spanish as well, because I learned Spanish since. So I went for the audition.
Hold on a second, you've learned to speak Spanish?
Oh, yeah, hablo español muy bien, no hay problema para mí. I can go on. So I was dead right for this part because they wanted somebody who was an undercover detective, right? Yeah. Who was Welsh, really, but he was pretending to be a Spaniard.
Right.
So I'm speaking English with a Spanish accent, right? And I think I threw a bit of Spanish lines in as well. Mm-hmm. But eventually I'm speaking Welsh because I've sussed out, I'm this Welsh bloke. It was about these three blokes. They're all dressed up as women, but you had to believe they were real women.
Right.
Anyhow, they ran this, a travel agency in Swansea, but they only ever sent anybody to Tenerife. See, no one else. So they go off to Tenerife, and these drug smugglers plant stuff in their bag, and that's how it started off. See,
yeah. You get quite close to one of them, don't you?
Yeah. Johan, he's a lovely fella. Funny he is. He said to me, his wife wasn't jealous till she knew that Johnny Tudor was his boyfriend. Oh my God! Yeah, so I chatted him up, but I think it's a woman, don't I?
Well, it's a beautiful scene. Let's have a little look at you chatting up. Was it Meryl, Cheryl, or Beryl? Which one was it? I don't know.
I can't remember. They all sound the same.
It's a very romantic scene. Let's have a little look.
You will come with me for a drink? It's okay. I'm not a bad man. You have a very beautiful smile, Cheryl. Tell me, all women in Welsh is beautiful like you?
No.
Vámonos.
Can you hear the drums, Fernando?
Okay.
Beautiful, Johnny, beautiful.
Fantastic.
The romantic in you. So you've done you've done Welsh, you've done Spanish, Italian. Now, I've seen you in a couple of Italian programs, sometimes being Mafia, like in High Hopes.
Yeah.
Do you remember who you played in High Hopes?
Mr. Ravioli. They called me something like that.
No, you were. I think you were Renzo Capone.
Renzo Caponi, that's right. And I think I was talking to Maggie John now, and she'd been my old girlfriend, apparently.
Fifi l'amor! Mr. Salami!
And there was a lovely line in there. She said, I had to give up the stripping, she said, since I got athlete's foot. She was fabulous, she was.
But she was a friend of my mum's in school, Margaret John. So we didn't have much, call on celebrity when I was growing up. But every time Margaret was on, I used to go to school with her every day. And years later, when I got to meet and spend a bit of time with Margaret, she spoke my Lifetime Award from the, I don't know, was it Variety Club of Britain? She came along to that, and she was. But she looked so. She looked just like my mother, but she sounded just like.
She came out with these wonderful lines, didn't she?
It was just so out. It looked out of character, but she was so brilliant at playing those parts.
Well, that's why it was so funny, because she did it so deadpan, didn't she? Mm-hmm. Dear old Mag, she was lovely. And then I worked with her again on Gavin and Stacey after, see.
Oh, right. Well, we'll come to Gavin and Stacey in a minute, because I've got a couple more that I want to throw at you, if that's okay.
Go on,
I'm doing my research. Right, High Hopes. We've got... What about the show that you wrote? And you wrote yourself as an Italian in that one?
Yeah, it was a thing called Arrivederci Ronda. A good title. A friend of mine came up with it one day. He's from Caerphilly, a fellow called Tudor Davis, very, very funny man, very good humour, And I said, I want to do this thing about an Italian up the valley. He said, what, like Arrivederci Ronda? Because a play on Arrivederci Roma, see? So I thought, that's a great title. So anyway, we got involved with this guy called Robin Edwards, who was the producer, and he wrote some of it, and I wrote some of it. And... we stole some of it. And then we thought, we got to get a good crew for this, good cast for this. So we got Ruth Maddock, my pal Ruth, played one part. And then I played the Italian boy whose mother's got a cafe up the valley. It's like the Brachis,
Yeah.
And then we got, before Windsor came in on the scene, we did a pilot, and Windsor wasn't in the pilot. Who was in the pilot? Oh, I can't think, Anyway, he came in and he was fantastic, Windsor. I mean, because he'd throw things in, see, like little words like, you has the audacity, not audacity, you has the audacity to stand there. And you wouldn't realise he'd said it, you know what I mean? He said, I'm an entrepreneur. So he added bits and pieces. But it was quite a funny show. We did it for BBC Wales as a pilot, with a live audience, and it got a really great, response from the audience. Mm-hmm. But they didn't take it any further. I don't know why. It could, because I'm sure it could have had, legs. It was a funny show.
Yeah. Well, now, is that the one that Ted Rogers was in?
Oh, Ted was in it as well. He had a cameo at the beginning with Windsor, because Ted was my pal from years ago.
He's not bad, is he, this boy of yours? Not bad at all.
We had this line in it about him being in 3, 2, 1. Yeah. It was a play on the... I think what Windsor said was, I know you from somewhere. And he goes like this. He does the fingers. And he says, oh, that's right. He said the Masons. So we had to use that bit. It was great.
Ruthie was in that one. Ruth Maddock was in that one.
Yeah, she played the stripper with a snake. Because I knew a stripper with a snake. See, well, I didn't actually know her. I knew of her. She was around Wales, and she used to do the strip with this big python,
Yeah.
And I don't know whatever happened to her. But
it is funny, because as you go around in life, you do pick up these lines.
Yeah,
I remember being on a bus once coming back from Heathrow, and I got to Bridgend, and this the lady who was working with the driver was looking at somebody and saying to this lady outside, and she turned around and said, oh, she's horrible, she is. I hate her. I said, woo! And then she turns to him and said, you must think I'm terribly two-faced. And he said, no, because if you were, you wouldn't be wearing that one. And I stuck it in a line in a musical. But, the stripper, well, she made it with Ruthie's help. She made it, and that line as well.
Well, do you know what? Talking about lines that people say to you in the street, I was in a chemist shop. I'll never forget this. A woman says to me, "Oh," she said, "you looks like that Rocky Stallone." She mixed the two up. She said, "Don't make me laugh. I'm on water tablets." I mean, that's a great line, isn't it?
It is a great line. I think I'll probably use it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's have a look at Ruthie then with her snake, and let's think about the lady whose career we took on and used in the show.
Your papa, he walked all the way from Italy with everything you own on his back. And then he worked himself to death just to provide for us, give you a good starting life. This place might have got him into an early grave. It's not getting me, I'll tell you what now. How the hell does she expect me to... Tink? Tink, what are you?
I've just been stroking the python. Has anybody ever told you you're sexually charismatic?
Stop it, will you? I'm engaged. Oh, God.
Maybe we should have done this one first off. But, you know, you worked with some of the major characters of Welsh television in those days. Howell Williams was that producer. A lot of us worked with and had a great reputation for making programmes in Wales that went around to all of the UK as well. Alan Williams.
Yeah.
I was always a massive fan of
Alan.
Alan Williams.
Well, Alan Williams worked with my dad back in the day, in the 40s and 50s. I think it was 50s. It was the radio programme called Welsh Rabbit, which was one of the biggest things on the air in those days because there wasn't much television. But, you know, the light programme was where we would listen to the light programme. And Welsh Rabbit was huge. It made a lot of Welsh stars. It made Stan Stennett. It made Harry Seacombe. There was one comic called Ozzy Morris who became very big from Port Talbot, but he did the rounds and was big for a while, but then he faded. Harry became the biggest star for the lot of them, of course. And Gladys Vaughan, another funny little woman, she was funny, Gladys. So yeah, Alan Williams was in that. I think he was in all of them, and my father was in all of them as well.
Yeah.
So, but Alan I've known for years. Alan, I remember doing a gig with Tom Jones once at the where was it? The Brangwyn Hall. And Alan Williams was the compere. See, so I'm on doing my bit before Tom comes on. He said, and I had to introduce Tom Jones. And he said, when you thank me, make sure you say Alan, not Alan, because it's a U in there. It's Alan, the Welsh way, see.
One of his famous lines I always liked was, if you've got the right key, you can play in any flat. Let's have a little look at Alan Williams introducing you. It's a big song. It's a big show. Tell me a bit about it. Do you remember this show?
Yeah, I do. It was Benny Litchfield, who was the MD of the Beeb at the time, was retiring. And they did a show called This Man of Music. And everybody who worked for him was in this show. There was me, there was Iris Williams, there was Max Boyce. I mean, all the Welsh performers who worked through the years on BBC Wales with Benny. We all did a bit, see?
Now, and ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome Johnny Tudor?
Even now, when there's someone else who cares, when there's someone home who's waiting just for me, even now I think about you as I'm climbing up the stairs, and I wonder what to do so she won't see.
It's been lovely seeing some of these old clips. Are you still in touch with people like Ruth Maddock? Are you still in touch after all these years?
Yeah, I spoke to Ruth recently. I mean, she lives back in Wales now. She's down in Glynneath. Yeah.
Well, maybe we should see if we could persuade Ruth to take a call from us.
Oh, I'm sure she would. I'll give her a bell next week if you like.
In fact, why not go through your little contacts book?
The trouble is, at my age, half of them are not with us anymore. Oh, God.
All right, then. Well, thank you ever so much for listening or watching our podcast, TheMal&JohnnyShow.com. Remember, hit the subscribe button to make sure you never miss an episode. And let me say it's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Ta-da!